Welcome to episode 82 of Instant Expertise Marketing. Today, we are going to be revealing the fourth pillar that marketers must get right in order to attract and convert prospects. As we've said, if you've been following along in this mini series, it has really taken us our entire career after developing offers for clients across business verticals, target audiences, and steps in the customer journey to figure out the secret sauce. And true to our podcast mission of bringing you instant expertise, we're sharing the good stuff now. I'm
Mhm.
Yvette Brown, co-founder of X Promos. I became an entrepreneur at 23 by starting a promotions agency with my then 29-year-old business partner, Sherry Nomadi.
Well, guys, that makes me the older, wiser one, Sherry Nomadi. As you know, Yvette and I approach business from opposite ends of the spectrum, and yet we always somehow come to the same conclusions to help our clients succeed. And we'll get to that last pillar shortly, but we wanted to just quickly remind you why it matters. I know we can all agree that virtually all marketing is created to get a prospect or a customer to take an immediate action. And we want them maybe to subscribe to our newsletter, maybe learn more about our brand, try something that we have to offer, buy something we sell, buy more of what we sell, and maybe just tell others about it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And as marketers, we don't ever want to be considered pushy or salesy, right?
Mhm.
We'd love to have prospects act without having a nudge, but unfortunately, that's not human nature. Neuroscience confirms that people don't take action, whatever it is in their life, unless they have to. So, unless you're willing to wait, you're going to need an offer that nudges them along.
All that valuable content, ads, webinars, newsletters, case studies, they're all designed to help them get closer to your brand. But before they consume that, we have to entice them to do just that.
Yeah, and the thing is, we recognize how hard our clients work to create compelling content or webinars or videos. And we've done a lot of those for them as well. But on their own, they're just not enough to get a prospect to act. Furthermore, not every prospect is ready or even interested in your brand.
Mhm.
However, you're going to want to get on their radar so they will reach out when they're ready.
And I know you've heard us say that the customer journey, it's a playground, not a pathway. And as maddening as that really seems, you really do need to give prospects the leeway to discovering your brand and its details on their own terms.
Exactly.
Yep. Get them to know, like, and trust you and allow them to reach out when they're ready and have a positive experience doing the deal.
Yep. And, so the thing is, you still need to get them to engage so that you can get them on your radar and vice versa. A great irresistible offer, which is what we call the signature offer, connects your brand to your audience with the right offer at the right time based on where that prospect is in the customer journey. And if you dialed back a couple episodes ago, we covered the structural skeleton as the first pillar, which is the core of your offer. And a couple episodes before, or the episode after that, we covered the muscle mechanics, which is how your offer works. And so if you haven't checked out those you're going to make sure you want to do that after today.
As we said, after 35 years, we have finally identified the four pillars that every single offer needs to succeed. Pillar number one is the structural skeleton,
Yep.
which is really the offer itself, right?
Right.
And number two is the muscle mechanics or how your offer works. Pillar number three, that's the heart of the offer, or also known as the psychological and emotional triggers. And now we're ready to talk about pillar number four, which is the creative appearance, one of our favorites.
Yep. And the creative is the final pillar. Now, of course, if you have ever been in on an offer brainstorm with your team or like any group, you've probably seen that marketers often start with this pillar, right? Like everybody has this crazy, kind of creative idea for something. And in reality, we hate to be the buzzkill, but it really should be the last area of focus, not the first.
Yes, that's right. And the creative presentation, it absolutely matters. But I will tell you where marketers fail is by focusing on some really overly clever message that has no connection, it does not resonate, and it just doesn't hit with your ideal customer prospect.
Yeah, and that's really the thing. And honestly, it's heartbreaking for me as a creative because I love a good wordplay and I love a clever take, but over the years, I have learned the hard way that clarity and simplicity win. Now, clarity and simplicity does not mean boring, right? But
Right.
instead, your message and your imagery needs to resonate. It needs to be appealing and it needs to be relatable specifically to your target audience.
And to Yvette's point, especially with offers, clarity is critical. The very best offers explain exactly what the prospect has to do in order to obtain the reward.
Yep.
The fulfillment of the reward, how you get the thing to the prospect, needs to be really easy for the customer first, even if it's hard for you or your agency. And why? Because if you're at the top of the funnel, how you handle interaction with these folks is really critical in how those prospects perceive you. Get it right, and you will earn their trust. And that can help you close a deal down the road.
Yeah, and I just want to pause there for a second because Sherry, that is such a critical point that gets overlooked very often. Our We have clients and we have worked with agencies who are guilty of wanting to make the fulfillment process easy for them, not easy for the customer. And sometimes we
Mhm.
understand like the back end can be hard for clients to manage. You really have to put your customers first and those prospects first because, like Sherry said, that is kind of one of the first, more direct connections they have with your brand. And that really makes a difference when, like Sherry said, our overall goal is to get them, those prospects, to know, like, and trust us. So, what we always do is we put ourselves in the shoes of the prospect when we're building a campaign. So we think about how are they going to react if they don't know us already? Are the directions for getting the reward clear? Because remember, it's the reward that's enticed them. So they want to know, how do I get that thing? Because they're not thinking necessarily too much about your brand at that point. So, whether we're delivering a reward that's a download or a digital code or something physical, we always think about, is there a way to make it easy for the customer or prospect to get that? Is there any part of it that's hard or unclear? And then we also make sure that all the communication around that reward is friendly and impactful. We really look at that little reward as the steps in building a relationship. And so, because it's early on in this relationship, everything you do matters.
That's right. The creative is also where you get to connect the benefits of your brand
Yep.
with your target audience and the reward. We've talked about this with the other pillars, but the creative is where you get to connect all those dots with your prospect.
Yeah, and this might seem a little overwhelming, especially if you've never thought about building an offer like this. And chances are you probably haven't because this is really not what you see out in the marketplace when you look for ways or strategies to build rewards. And honestly, when you try to do this yourself at first, it might seem a little awkward in the beginning. But when you can follow this approach, you're going to ensure that you're creating an incentive that relates to your brand, it appeals to your audience, it aligns with the ask, and it positively reflects your brand overall.
All right, so we'll give you an example of a program that we did for an organic milk company
That's
and
a good
how
idea.
we did just all those things. First, we negotiated a very reasonable deal with club soccer. And we did that because we knew these families in club soccer most aligned with our organic milk target audience. Next, we solved a problem for this audience,
Mhm.
which was these club soccer tournaments. They are long days, long days and weekends. And guess what? People run out of cell phone battery. So we created these really cool power stations at the major tournament sites. And our messaging was that organic milk powers up kids for optimal performance. And we supported the effort with coupons and really fun premiums. So, can you see how that power performance and the connection all connected those dots of the product, the audience, and the messaging?
Right. And I think the point to this is that this was not a, 6, 7 figure, well, it was maybe six, it was not a seven
It was
figure
six.
investment of a campaign. This was a modest investment and it raised our clients' visibility higher than all the other big sponsors that had spent just 7 figures just on the sponsorship. Why was
Mhm.
that? It was because we provided something of value that families, our target audience, found relatable. And we, as a brand representing our client's brand, we met them where they were. And after the campaign, that brand increased market share by 6% in the highly competitive Southern California marketplace where they play.
Speaking of relatable, for you B2B folks out there thinking, how does that help me?
What's
Well,
in it for me?
yeah, we did something very similar in the B2B space. One of our clients, they were trying to get all these off plan customers back on plan, and their existing win back program wasn't working, wasn't moving the needle, didn't do anything, in fact.
Yeah, and in that case, we dug into their existing offers, their existing win back offers, and we discovered, thinking again like a prospect, that to get back on plan, you had to pay for all of the updates that you missed, right? So as long
Mhm.
as you were off plan, you literally had to catch up before you could even go forward. And we looked at this as a customer and we said to the client, you know what, this is like really punitive. And I'm not surprised that you don't have people coming back on plan. So we actually suggested that they create what we called an amnesty program, where for a limited time, this one time only, we would wipe the slate clean and they could get back on plan, but only if they acted right now.
And honestly, the client didn't think it would work.
Right.
And they were really only willing to offer it to customers who had been way off plan for 3 years or more.
But guess what? It worked so well that the 7 figure revenue that it brought in for the client ensured that that client hit their Q4 targets for the year, which they were, according to them, would have missed otherwise. The CEO was, in fact, so elated about the program that he called it out at their, year end all hands meeting as the savior for the quarter.
And by the way, we created a campaign around this really old, salty police officer with black and white creative imaging to deliver our message of amnesty. Creatively unexpected for the B2B brand, but it was really clear, it was really relatable, and they responded.
Yeah. And it really was a shining moment.
And on that note, let's wrap up this mini series. If we can leave you with just one takeaway today, it's that your awesome content deserves a compelling offer to drive engagement. So make that compelling offer your own by creating a signature offer. spend some time to really create a relevant reward that relates to your brand and that appeals to your audience and aligns with what you're asking, whether that's capturing an email at the top of the funnel or giving them giving a review on your product or service at the bottom of the funnel.
Yeah, well said, Sherry. And if you feel like you could still use assistance in creating your very own brand signature offer, go ahead and reach out to us at xpromos.com. And until next time, thank you again for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out an episode.